Today we're going to be going through the Motiv Mix desktop app. So this is a fairly new piece of software from Shure to help you record simply using just one piece of software. You don't need to know about a bunch of things. You can plug a bunch of things into your computer and it will recognize different USB microphones, which is a pretty cool feature there. It's in beta mode at the time of recording, and for this particular test and walkthrough, I'm going to use the Shure MV7 microphone as it is a Shure product. So let's put that on display. But we're also going to look at how it goes recording different USB microphones all at the same time. So I'm also going to use the SE Neom. I never know quite how to say this. I haven't reviewed this one yet at time of recording, so this will be a good little test for me to see how it sounds with the other microphones as well, using the particular software that we're going to go through. The first thing you're going to need to do is actually go to the Shure website and download the Motiv Mix app. Prior to the Motiv Mix app, you could actually update settings using the Shure Plus Motiv app. I think that's the name of it. Oh my God, they have too many things that have similar names. It's stupid. Sure, it's stupid. So you could use that to update like how the actual microphone sounded, kind of like the DSP settings that are included with the Rode products, which I've done a review on as well. Shure has discontinued the Shure Plus app and is now using the Motiv Mix app to do those settings, plus also record into as well. So that's kind of cool. It's killing two birds with one stone, and it's not just for this particular microphone, it's for lots of microphones. So let's get into the actual application, the software, and have a little bit of a look around right now. Okay, here it is. So we've got a bunch of sources that I can choose from here. That's because I have a lot of different things that I plug in. I've also got Pro Tools. I've got a bunch of things you're not going to have. So don't get overwhelmed by how many sources I have. You won't have as many. That's a good thing. Now, if you want to add microphones to your session, to your recording session, and make changes to the way they sound, if possible, then you actually just drag it over like this. This is the Shure MV7, so I'm going to drag that in. Okay, and then I'm also going to include the Neom, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to first make some changes to the Shure MV7 to make sure it's sitting how I want it to sit too. So if we just go here, this is the one input 1, and we go to device settings, it's going to come up with some levels and things that you can change on the microphone itself. So you can either adjust things auto or manual. Auto means you don't have a lot of changes that you can actually make. You just tell it a few things and then it does its best. It does what it thinks it should do for your voice, but it doesn't give you as much control. So monitor mix just means that you can control how much of the playback you can hear. So if you were singing, let's say, with the microphone and you wanted to hear the backing track, and you also wanted to hear yourself, then you can play with how that setup sounds for you, so that you can have some mic, some playback, or have it, down the center, or you want all mic, you don't want any playback. This is particularly for streaming as well. That can be handy. I'm just leaving this as straight at the moment. The mic position I've got near, but it does give you the option to say far. So if you did have this microphone sitting on your desk, which I do not recommend at all, but let's say you were doing that against my wishes, then you can click far. And then, okay, let's say the microphone is back here. What it's basically doing is it's adjusting for the fact that the microphone's too far away from your face, from your mouth. And so it's probably giving you some compression and limiting to still bring you up as far as volume goes. But this just sounds bad. This sounds too far away. Everything's bouncing. I hate it. I hate it. If you can control where your microphone is, please put it nice and close, like over here. And we're going to go near. So now we've set it to near. See how it's turned the volume basically down because it doesn't need it to be so high. The level doesn't need to be high because I'm so close to the actual source. You've then got 3 settings here to choose from. You've got natural, dark, and bright. This is the tone. This is kind of the EQ settings. So the dark is setting it. See how it's introduced more of that low end, that the kind of bassiness. And that to me doesn't really suit my voice. It makes it harder to hear. My intonation doesn't make me sound as clear, so I wouldn't recommend that for my voice. Natural's just pretty flat really. There's not a lot going in there as far as EQ. I think it's done a little bit maybe in the like higher end slightly, and maybe a little bit of a boost, bottom end as well. And then if we listen to Bright, then Bright's going to give me a lot more of that high end sort of sound that you may be able to hear. Make sure you got headphones on. If you don't, please put them on. This will make a whole lot more sense. And so if I listen to that, it's giving me more teeth. You can hear more of the sounds and the higher tones. It's got a little bit more of a sparkle, but I think it might be just a little bit too much for me. It's getting too much emphasis on those S's and the ch's, ch sounds and the T sounds. So although not bad, Bright's not too bad. I might just put it back to natural for me for the tone. And then there's some other settings there as far as the LEDs. That's just like what's actually coming up on the microphone itself. Like we can go whoop and turn on the metering. It's now showing the metering. I'm going to just switch that off, and then night mode. See how it's dimmed the actual lights on there. I'm just going to leave that on because, why not? So that's all you can really do with the settings if you're doing it in auto mode. If you switch to manual, then there's a few other things that you can change. So the playback is still the same. The mic gain, we can adjust how loud the microphone is. Here we go, talking into it. That is at its very peak. I'm going to bring it back down to about here because there's a few adjustments that we can make to adjust the gain without pushing it. Next thing we can change is the EQ, so that it gives you a few more options, not a heap. Flat means it does absolutely nothing to the EQ. It is exactly as the microphone sounds. This one here is called a high pass filter. So it rolls off the bottom end. So if you are recording in a location where maybe you've got like an air conditioner, or you live near a train line and you've got things that are kind of humming, or your computer is particularly loud and it's got like this kind of drony sort of sound. If you use the high pass filter, it rolls off a bit of that. The thing with the high pass filter as well is that people don't often realize that there is one because those lower end frequencies at that frequency range, you can't really hear it as much as feel it. It's more of a presence or lack thereof, I suppose, in that space. So that's the high pass filter. Now if we switch to the next one, this is giving you a presence boost. You can probably hear it. I hope you can. It's very exciting when your ears are tuned enough to go, oh my God, I can totally hear that. But not everyone can. So that's okay. The presence boost gives you that little bit of sparkle top end. It's giving me more of that t-t-p-p sort of sound, which was in that presence area over in the auto level there. So you can set that if you feel like you need a little bit of extra help there. That can be particularly good if you have like a bassy voice, but you feel like you're a little bit muffled. If you give yourself some presence boost there, that can help you actually sound clearer. So that's not too bad. And then if we go to presence boost plus high pass filter, so now it's rolling off the bottom end and it's giving you some presence up the top as well. That's a pretty good one if you feel like your room is a little bit noisier and you need a little bit of help in that higher end there as well. For me, that sounds pretty good. I think it sounds better than the flat. If I go back to flat now and then you hear the flat is totally fine. It just feels like the presence might be a little bit better here, just as long as it's not pushing me over the edge to the realm where it starts to get annoying. So I'm going to put it back to flat for now, but that's something that you can play with. Next up, we have a limiter. So the limiter is currently on. If I turn it off, testing. This is me talking into the microphone. 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 It's actually not making that much of a difference. But when we put that with the compressor, that's where things start to get a little bit more interesting. So if we go off here and we go to on, the compressor, you have a choice of going light, medium, or heavy on the compression. Now, compression is one of those things that you're like,
I don't understand what this actually is.
And I totally get it. I have done an audio production degree, a 4-year degree, where all it was music production, audio production, and compression was still one of those things that took you a while to get right. So that's why they're not letting you go too deep into it here, even in the manual mode. Compression basically means that it will adjust your sound to make sure that you're not peaking. Okay, so if you sing or you talk really loud, it's not going to peak. It's not going to make that distorted sound. And it's also going to bring up some of your lower, like softer sounds to just make things more level, compress the sound so that everything is kind of on the same dynamic level, dynamic range. What I'm going to do is I'm going to test this by singing the same thing 3 times at different levels of compression, and then you'll be able to hear what it's actually doing to the sound. So this is with it off. This is one of my own songs that I'm working on at the moment. I'm actually composing the strings for it as we speak. So let's have a little bit of the chorus here. No compression. I don't have a small life. It's bigger than my dreams. Now this light. I don't have a small life. It's bigger than my dreams. Medium. I don't have a small life. It's bigger than my dreams. Okay, and heavy. I don't have a small life. It's bigger than my dreams. Okay, so you can probably hear that one sounds louder, even if you look at this meter here. Okay, so when I sing, I don't, it's right up here in the orange. Ah, and then as we go down, I don't have a small life. It doesn't hit as hard. And then we go down to light. I don't have a small life. Now it's hitting around -6. And then the compression off. I don't have a small life. Sitting around the 12. So the compression means that if you don't have a lot of microphone technique, like for me personally, I would be bringing the microphone in and out. If I know I'm going to be louder, then I bring the microphone out so that it's not having to do so much of the compression, and also gives me that kind of dynamics a little bit more. When you apply compression, then it kind of does that for you, but it doesn't sound as true. But for voices, it's less of a deal. So I would probably set that compression to be kind of maybe medium. But the thing I notice is when I turn that up to medium, see how everything is heightened. So now I can hear more of my sort of sounds. Now I can hear more of the background around everything. Oh, and I can also hear more of my breath. Okay, if I turn it down, it's so hard to breathe with. It's so weird to just try and hear my breath and then also breathe. It's crazy. That sounds pretty good. I mean, medium is probably sitting pretty well, actually, I think. But just be aware of that. Sometimes it can be just a little bit too much, and be aware of being able to change those compression settings there within the manual mode. I definitely prefer manual mode to auto just because it has a little bit more capabilities for me to get it to sound the way I actually want it to sound. I don't need to apply the limiter, but if I do, you're going to hear it's going to give me even more boost now, because now that we've got the compression on, then we put the limiter on, and then you can hear what it's actually doing even further. So now if I sing again, I don't have a small life, it's actually not allowing that to go any higher, any louder, any like peaking level through the limiter. It's crushing it even more. And so that can be helpful for vocalists, especially maybe if you're a heavy metal singer or something. You might want to set that to heavy and have the limiter on so that you can, really go for it into the microphone. But for the regular Joe Blow that doesn't do that into their microphone, you won't need all this potentially for the mic. In saying that, now it's sitting pretty good, sitting where I think it sounds pretty nice, and that's on flat. So if I then put this like presence now back on, that's going to be problematic with this compression for sure. So now I'm talking into this, and can you hear all those little sussa sounds now? There's so many extra ones because the compression and the limiting is actually bringing that further even into your ears, bringing that even more into the presence of the whole thing. So I don't want that. I'm going to set that to flat. If I was using this microphone in this setup, that's what I would do for me. For you, think about where your vocal range is, where you sit, where you're the meatiest. If you have a lot of bottom end and you're actually a little bit muffly, then you're going to need some presence. You're going to need to roll off. There's just a few adjustments that you can make, and just make sure that you've got your headphones plugged into the microphone so that you can really hear those adjustments as they're being made in the actual application itself. And if all of this is just too hard, go to auto and set a few things. You can't really stuff that up. That is now the Shure MV7 set up. Now, if you were just by yourself and you're just now ready to record, you just want to use this as your recording device, then you're ready to go. You can just hit this start recording button and it's going to record. Now it's going to say, hey, how are you wanting to save these files? Main output only or main output plus all individual sources? This is important for you to note. If you are recording more than one person with you, which we will do that in a moment, if you're recording more than one source, then for your post-production, you might want to have individual sources. That means individual waveforms for each person. So that if someone's talking over someone else, there's some mic bleed, there's stuff that your production team or yourself wants to manage, you can't do that if it's all in the main output only. You need to have all individual sources ticked. For this case, for this situation, because it's just me in here all by myself, then I would just do that, main output only. Okay, and then I'm going to hit start recording. I'm just going to record something. Welcome to my voice. This is me testing how the microphone sounds when I'm using this Motiv Mix app. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just talking into the microphone at a space that sounds like it should be talked into. So that is it for me right now. And thanks for watching / listening to me do some tests on this situation. Done. Recordings saved, and then we can show in folder. And then there it is. Bam. That was very simple. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag in another microphone source, which is my SE Neom. So then we're going to add this one in here, drag this in, over here. And now we've got the Neom in there as well. Okay, now we have Alex joining us. He is fresh off the farm and we are going to record... Oh, this is very breathy, this one. It needs a pop filter on it. There we go. Okay, that'll be better. We're going to now record using the Motiv Mix app, and you can see that we've both... Alex, you talking to yours?
I'm talking into mine.
Okay, and my level is a lot higher than yours. Ha ha ha.
Well, I can always talk a bit louder.
Well, okay, I'll turn this down a little bit. Now, first thing you want to check is make sure you go down here, go recording settings, and make sure that you've got main output and all individual sources, because you're recording two people together. You want individual tracks. We're going to do some cross-talking over top of each other.
Cross-talking?
Yeah, that's right. So with the cross-talking happening, we want individual sources. So we want to make sure that that is selected. And then we can just hit record right now. And I've put my level down a little bit and made sure that Alex is nice and high. Okay, start recording. And you can see this is just recording now in the background. Okay, so let's just pretend that we're having a conversation now. Now, I would, as I said before, I wouldn't suggest that you're right close to your pal here in the podcasting room, because then the microphones are like kissing each other and they're just picking up everyone else's sound. Ideally, you want to be like not even in the shot, but for the purpose of this, that looks weird. So let's just be close.
Try and play with the direction of your mic too, because I'm pointing my mic right this way, away from Brianna, opposite direction of Brianna. Whereas if I was like this, I'm kind of like, it's kind of almost pointing at her. So it's pointing directly away from her.
Yes, that is very good. Well done. Okay, cool. So Alex, what would you like to talk about?
Would you rather your hands be sticky all the time, or you have an itch that you cannot scratch? Like when you think it's on your back, you scratch. No, it's not there. It's kind of on your hip. Oh, you scratch there. No, it's not there.
Oh, no.
It's on your nose. Oh, scratch there. No, somewhere else.
Oh, God.
Sticky hands, unscratchable itch. Go.
Sticky hands versus unscratchable itch. That's diabolical. That's really hard, because sticky hands are really annoying. Sticky hands. It's just the hands.
Yeah, your entire palmar surface is just sticky skin.
God. And an itch that you can't, you literally can't scratch. So how bad is the itch?
Well, it's not crazy bad.
Yeah.
But it's enough to be like, oh, this is annoying.
Oh.
So it probably won't stop you sleeping.
Okay.
But it'll stop you enjoying life.
Oh, God. Okay, I think it has to be an itch, though. I think it has to be the itch, because if I've got sticky hands all the time, then I'm like picking up my glass and it's just sticky. And then if I'm like hugging, anybody, or like trying to put moisturizer on my face, then it's like stick town, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it has to be an itch that I can't scratch. That would probably slowly drive me insane. But
I think it would.
sticky hands would be worse. What about you?
Isn't sticky hands more manageable? Like perhaps you have like one of those rock climbing chalk bags and you're just like chalking up your hands all the
Yeah, good
time.
point. Yeah.
Or you just enter perpetually those competitions where you have to grab cash in that like wind blowing chamber.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
And then
really
you
good.
You could just
That's
gecko
true.
all
You
the cash to your hands.
You could.
Numerous.
Yeah,
uses.
there's many lots. It could be a superpower, being sticky hands.
Yeah, having a unbeatable itch there. You're not impressing anyone with that.
No, you're not. You can't do anything with that. You've got a frowny face. You're constantly like, meh. I'm constantly annoyed. So what's your verdict on that?
I'm going to go with sticky hands.
Sticky flippin' hands. Wow. And he hates sticky. So that's saying something about the itch. The itch must be really bad. Thanks for joining us for this Would You Rather conversation. And now let's switch over to the screen share so you can see me turning it off. All right, here I am back on this thing. And now we're going to just hit done. It's telling you where it saved it. You can go show in folder and it will be there. Okay. And you can see it's given me a main output, which is the whole thing, like together, both channels. And it's also given me the individual tracks as well, which is what you want. If you're not going to do any post-production though, you will only be using this main output track there. Okay, so that's just a wrap for you, Alex. Flip off. Okay, I'm back by myself. So what do you think, guys? I'm pretty excited about this flippin' Motiv app because the Motiv Mix app, even though it's in beta, it's pretty flippin' good. I really like that you can use other microphones, other USB microphones. It's got firmware included, meaning that they don't have to be all the same. They don't have to be just Rode products or just Shure products. They can be whoever and all your pals with all your different microphones. I don't know how many you can connect at once. That's something I'll try, and I'll put a little update on the screen here to show you how many you can actually have on at once I've done that. But for right now, I'm really happy. It does suck that you can't change the settings on different mics, like the SE. It just had to be whatever the SE was. There was no DSP settings for that, but that makes sense because it's not a Shure product. Shure is only going to have the settings and the firmware and things for the microphones that are theirs. So that's okay. It does mean that you can just have a hub, potentially, with a bunch of USB microphones plugged into it, and you can have 4 people there, and you could do it that way if you didn't want to have a big preamp. So like I've got a preamp here, which is the Claret Focusrite, and it can record like up to 16 channels or something at once. So that's no problem for me, but that's XLR microphones. USB microphones are a different beast. Being able to record multiple easily with one machine, that's a good A+. Big A+ for me for the Motiv Mix. I didn't even go into everything there, guys. I just went through a few little things that I thought were just really useful for you, for a podcaster, without going into the nitty-gritty too much. I hope it was useful, valuable, and go and download it. Check it out for yourself. Bye.